Hello, I am Sammy Bad News. And you guys, this is my first from TikTok to YouTube video that I'm gonna do. Said I was gonna talk about Native history and stuff, and I was gonna talk about my nation, but let's start off with my history personally as a Native woman. And actually, I did not grow up around my nation. I was born in southern South Dakota, and um, I was born in southern South Dakota to a beautiful 16-year-old girl, and she was not able to take care of me. So she was strong and unselfish enough to give me up for adoption, and she didn't, I don't want to say she didn't care, but the most important thing to her was not the race of the family that raised me, but who that they had faith and that they were good people and would always take care of me. She was a very, very loving woman, and I know for a fact she was beautiful because I've seen pictures of her. And we had we've spoken before. On my adoption papers, I used to look at them all the time. When I was younger, my parents did, in fact, tell me that I was Native American, and on my adoption papers, it said Sioux on her side. And so, because of the area that I was born, we always thought I would belong to the Lakota band. So everything I learned when I was growing up revolved around being Sioux. Now, it's a lovely bra I have, I know, I'm sorry. Trying to make this family friendly. All I knew was that I was Sioux, so I immersed myself in learning Native history, some words even and phrases, in the Lakota language. I don't like to use the word Sioux because, from what I understand, it's actually a word that means enemy. So I'm not going to use a word that I think is unfriendly. But there is the Great Sioux Nation. Within it is several bands, obviously. So I thought forever that I was Lakota, and then the time came around for me to finally completely open my adoption records, and at this point, my birth mother was still not ready to start a relationship with me. She does have a family, and I'm not completely sure that all my siblings know about me, and that's her prerogative. She's more than welcome to do whatever she wants, and I mean, she gave me a complete life. She doesn't know me anything. We went through all of my stuff because I'm, with having epilepsy and having a few other health problems, getting health insurance is hell for anyone. And being tribal, you do get help through, I think it's the Bureau of Indian Affairs. They kind of hook that up for you, and you also have to get supplemental health care assistance and that sort of thing. So I decided that, okay, I need to be enrolled in my tribe. There's no way around this. I have to get health care. So I have to find out what nation I belong to and enroll. Well, we got the information. I was adopted through Bethany Christian Services. They are a wonderful, wonderful organization. They, my cousins are actually both adopted. I have two cousins who are adopted. My my uncle and aunt followed suit, and when they couldn't conceive, and my dad's brother kind of followed in his footsteps, and coincidentally, one of my cousins is actually Cherokee, which is really cool. And no, it's not one of those long line of things. He probably carries more native blood than I do. Well, Bethany Christian Services comes back and they were like, well, your birth mother belonged to the Santee Sioux, and then she left the tribe because she carries more of a Ponca line, is what I was told. And the Ponca was a tribe I had never even heard of. They do have one great icon that I had heard of named Standing Bear. If you want more information on him, that's going to come in a later video, and that's going to be a long one. Because he just has had so much influence throughout really a lot of the nations of the plains, because he, during the quote Indian Wars, he had quite a role. He was wonderful. Okay, so we're gonna do this Bailey Sarian style, and I'm going to do my makeup. I'm so glad I found this crap. This is so cool. So I decided, and if I'm doing these wrong, I'm using my phone as my camera, so it's not going to be perfect. It's really just not. And I'm not doing all of this in a hospital with this lighting. So it's probably going to look pretty wacky. That's okay. So I looked up, I knew my birth mother's name. So I called the enrollment office and I said, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I need to find out if this woman is in your nation. She is my birth mother. And I gave the name, and they said, yeah, that's all you need is her name, because her lineage is strong and it goes all the way back. And yeah, I gave the name. I was enrolled on June 6th, 2016, which was actually very, I mean, I was enrolled already, but they sent me my enrollment card and everything like that. They sent that to me on June 6th of 2016. Growing up, my family was very, very supportive of me learning and discovering my history and my heritage, and they loved that I loved who I was, and they were very, very encouraging. They didn't always understand everything, but they loved that I was willing to look into it and willing to educate myself about a different culture and really own my bloodline, and took a lot of pride in where I came from. And I think that was important to me because that was the only, my family is white, so I used to get really jealous of people who were like, oh, you look exactly like your mom, you look exactly like your dad. I didn't look like anybody. The closest I had was an aunt, and she's got really dark hair like me, and that's about where it stops. So, oh god, where was I? See, this is how you know I have a brain problem. No, scrappy memory. So my dad's father used to give me things that were native and things like that all the time, and he really loved that I loved my heritage. He was just the coolest guy, but he used to tease me all the time, and he was a fun grandpa. He once, I'm trying to help this 83-year-old man. He was about 83 at this time. I was trying to help him clean his house. And I said, Grandpa, where's your where's your broom? And he said, why, you going somewhere? I chased that 83-year-old man around his house And then I swept the house and flew home. um, oh, I missed him. It was really important to me. He was really important to me, and just for Christmas presents and stuff like that, sometimes he would really get me these really beautiful gifts that were from native tribes and stuff, and they were from various native nations, and he knew how to get this stuff. It's really strange. And then I'm gonna do my eyebrows. They look like they're thick. I don't know if I overplucked when I was a teenager or what's going on here, but they like fade out, and it's so weird. And I don't want them to look like they've been cheaply drawn on either. But I look like a total wackadoo if I don't fill them in a little bit. Feeling good? Alright. And, yeah, I can't do that. I got my enrollment card, and my grandpa had fallen sick. And was literally dying of cancer in a hospice home. When I got my enrollment card, and I was able to tell him, he was unconscious, but I got my enrollment card on June 6th of 2016, and he died 2 days later. So the idea that I was able to share that with him, when he knew how much it meant to me, I think that he heard me. I'd like to think he did. And I think that was a gift that I think was a little bit like, sometimes you're given the gift of itty bits of time with someone at the very end, so that you can share even the least little things with them. So, I started really looking into the Ponca tribe. They are originally from the Ohio Valley area, and which didn't make sense to me, but there's what's called the Trail of Death, which is similar to the Trail of Tears, but it was on the northern side. And a lot of the Plains nations that you heard of now are from that area, actually, from the Ohio Valley. And Great Lakes area originally, and then were driven out further west. So, yeah, my nation is really beautiful. We have a great enrollment staff. They are wonderful. They're sweet people, and our history is just so rich and wonderful. I don't live anywhere near. When I was adopted, the family that adopted me lived in South Dakota, but was wanting to move back to Michigan, where they're originally from. So they did. So I live, states away from my nation, my birth family, everything. I live very far away from them. So, very far away. It's like a 2-day drive. But, one, if you're speeding, don't speed. I don't know why I got this eyeliner. I'm such a wackadoo. I don't know. Should I do something interesting with my eyeshadow, maybe? Maybe pink, since I'm wearing friggin' pink everything today. I don't know why I decided to do all pink for my outfit today. Again, possible brain damage, whatever. Why does this look brown? Whatever. I don't care. I don't live near my nation, but they do send me newsletters, and the cool thing about a lot of tribal newsletters is if you don't speak the language, and to be honest, a lot of native languages are very, very difficult, unless they're written out phonetically, like everything's spelled like it sounds. Lakota is a little bit like that, and that was the nice thing about trying to pick up some phrases, because you could read it and be like, oh, that makes sense. It's spelled like it sounds. Ponca is different. Yeah, it's very different, and they have ways of they tell you what things letters sound a certain way and all of that kind of stuff, and how to pronounce it, and like little tiny phrases. And I think there's a language lexicon actually online that would probably be more helpful than just the newsletter as I get every month. But they give little phrases you can say. Although I can't use it with anybody around here because I don't live around my nation. I live in Michigan, and not Nebraska and Iowa and South Dakota. I don't live out there anymore. So, it's all right though. I mean, I don't really mind. It's just weird being a little disconnected. I do live in an area though that does have native culture, to a certain degree. I live near the Potawatomi, a band of the Potawatomi. I have to go there for all my doctor's appointments and stuff too. And they're very welcoming and sweet tribes, the Potawatomi. And I dance at their powwows and stuff, and you know, they're intertribal dances that really anybody can do. You can show up there, and the powwows that are open to the public, I take full advantage of. If you ever go to a powwow, bring a crap ton of money, because you're going to spend it all, because everything is handmade, beautiful, and so worth the money you spend. But you're going to spend a lot. The Potawatomi have made a great deal of money off me. And they kind of, like, the ones that know about me kind of took me under their wing a little bit, because they know I'm kind of a little bit out to sea. And when you're native, and you're enrolled, you do have to see native approved doctors and native approved, like, tribal. Now when I say tribal, that means they work on tribal land. They live on work on sovereign tribal land. That doesn't mean necessarily that your physician is going to be native. Although it's kind of cool when they are. I have my primary caretaker is native, and yeah, it's not like we go to a sweat lodge and stuff like that when I go for a doctor's appointment and stuff. It's pretty cool. Does anybody else have an Ipsy bag? I love my Ipsy bag. I got this. It's called Benefit Roller Lash. It's in this tiny little thing, but I love it so much because it works really, really well. I was impressed. I got my first Ipsy bag last month, and I'm stoked to see what else they pick out for me, because they hit the nail on the head last month. And yeah, I'm doing the stereotypical mascara face. I know, it looks wild. You're like, mouth breather. Yeah, no kidding. I'm trying to keep my eye open. By the way, these things are itchy like crazy. Oh my gosh. Why does this look different than the other one? I don't know. I also think I have a partially lazy eye. This one looks partially lazy to me. I don't know what's going on. But, yeah, Yeah, I have a good relationship with the natives around here. They're very sweet. They're very welcoming to people who are outside of their nation, and it's just cool. Learning that I was actually I was Santee and Ponca and hold both bloodlines on my birth mother's side and Mexican. And on my birth father's side, I'm Spanish. That was quite something. Instead of, Lakota Mexican, there's a tablespoon of Saudi in there. I don't know how it even got there. I'm like afraid to ask my birth mother. And be like, so this is random. What happened? Because she may or may not even know. And if there's probably a weird story. That's the only upside. By the way, if you ever try lip sense, if you ever think about doing it, they're really cool. Lasts through hell and high water. The only thing is that there's a sanitizer type thing in there. So it'll taste like hand sanitizer and it smells like alcohol. It's like, that's the only thing I don't like about it. Other than that, it's really great. I'm using, what is it, Girlfriend? This isn't the crap I like. Where's my praline rose? Oh, the praline rose. Oh, it's not in here. Where are these used? We're not going to use that one right now. Praline rose is a little too. It's like an orangey color. Ugh. This one is just by Elf. I'm not one to spend a ton of money on a lot of makeup. Right now I can't wear my foundation because I've been spending a lot of time in the sun. And the foundation I had was for my, quote, winter face. So, and when I'm in the sun, I don't get as much stuff that I need to cover or anything like that. So in the summer, sometimes I don't even use foundation. It is what it is. This is a little bit on the light side, but that's okay. I'm trying to highlight my... And I don't do a lot of contouring, as you can probably tell. I'm going to touch up a few little things. That's it. But, it's just really cool. Finding out all this crap about my history was very interesting. I have a relative who was, and this was very common, back in the time of the Indian Wars and the age of native assimilation, which is kind of still going on in some ways. But back in those days, they used to abduct or kill entire native families and children. My great-grandfather, I guess, one of my ancestors, he was taken into an Indian school, and by the time that he was released, he had come to find out that his whole family had been killed by smallpox. And, that's kind of heartbreaking, but it just shows that, like, wow, this really was, like, this is real. And, you carry the strength of that one ancestor to be able to face something so devastating and still be able to carry on. I can't imagine being in that situation. It's wild to me. So wild. And as time goes on, you'll learn more about the Ponca. I'll make a video just purely for the Ponca, or I'll split it up into. I'll make like a special day of the month just for Ponca stuff, because it's who I belong to. With COVID and stuff, they were originally thinking of actually having this summit type situation that I think you could watch online, and I was going to do that. And they have their powwow every year. The Northern Ponca. There's a Northern Ponca and a Southern Ponca. They're different bands of the same tribe. And the Northern Ponca was going to have their powwow on August 7th, 8th, and 9th. And because of COVID, it's not happening. But I think everybody's going to be really geared up for next year. My regalia will be finally done, and I'll have lost enough weight to be able to actually do a song or two and dance in the circle. You have no idea how much, like, you have to be cardio strong, lots of stamina to be able to do any of those dances. They're insane. People will say, oh, yeah, it looks so simple. It's not. They're just waving things around. No, there's actual steps that happen, and they are not always easy to keep up with, and those songs are longer than you think they are. So, I'm actually been working out and trying to do cardio just so I can last a song and not die in the summer heat in Nebraska. Trying to do a circle dance. I would feel like a complete idiot. To be like, she dead? We lost one. So, yeah. And if anybody asks me my tribal name, I've not been given one by my elders, by the elders of the tribe. I've never met any of them in person. I probably wouldn't know what to name me in the first place. So, if you ask me that, I have no name. I have no tribal name. I do not paint with all the colors of the wind. I don't hunt buffalo. I don't camp out. I actually hate the outdoors for the most part, unless I'm tanning. So, me and nature would be more one if insects didn't exist. But yeah, the stereotypes and stuff like that, I'll go through that too. And I'll talk a little bit more about, the R word, as it were. The word redskin. Don't like that word. And I'll explain why it's screwed up and why it's not about politics and political correctness. It's about ethics. I'll talk about that too. I'll be as genuine and transparent as I can. And if you have questions, leave them in the comments. If you have critiques, be gentle. But yeah, welcome to my, it's not really a TED Talk, it's like a epilepsy monitoring unit sleep deprivation talk. It's been real. I'll try and do something more exciting with my makeup tomorrow. And yeah, tomorrow I'll do something on epilepsy. Maybe I'll make a video where we talk a little bit about my situation with my doctor, and you might get to listen in on what's going on with me, because I have no problem with it and it doesn't bother me, and I know that there are people who are scared and lonely because they have epilepsy. It can be a very lonely thing when you know that you have something like this, potentially deadly. And where are the people like you, and how can you feel not alone, and how do you guys cope and stuff like that? And I'm here for all of that. That's awesome. Good for, because I didn't have that when I first discovered when I first got diagnosed. So, on that note, I'm going to shut up because I've been talking for almost exactly a half hour. And I will see you later.